Live well now with Dr. Lauren.
Hello everyone, it's Dr. Lauren Powell and welcome to another episode of Live Well Now. My goal here is to give you tools, strategies, just good educational information that you can take to live better now because you have something to do, you have a mission, you have a calling on your life, and we don't have time to be sick. We want you well, we want your family well, we want everyone connected to you well. And so my goal is to just bring you such good information that's easy to digest, that's small, that's practical, but will have hopefully a massive impact on your life, your health, and the people that are connected to you. Because sharing is caring, and when you learn something good, when you learn something that benefits you, you spread it along. So today, y'all, we're going to talk about something that first of all, I don't want you to ever feel shame about anything that I share. If it's something that you're like, ooh, that's something I've been doing, and it's okay. You know now. And when we know better, we can make different decisions. And so today we're going to talk about ultra processed food. And for many people that may hit home because they may recognize that a large part of their diet is ultra processed food. And so now what do you do with that? Like, you're telling me that all the things that I've been eating and consuming for most of my adult life are not good. You're telling me that the foods that I've been eating and serving my family are not good for me, or not good for us. Maybe I'm going to be talking about ultra processed food and the link between ultra processed food and cancer. And it's something that has been known and documented with some of the preservatives and things that are used to make processed food, and I'm going to go in detail and help you understand what that means. And so we, at the end of 2025 and beginning of 2026, we had 3 just really good studies that were very clear on the link of ultra processed food and cancer. And I think we're all seeing cancer more. I think it used to be where you didn't know anyone. Growing up, we didn't know anybody that had colon cancer. We didn't know anybody that had prostate cancer. We didn't know anybody that had breast cancer. But and I even think about my training. Back when I went to medical school or back when I was in residency, we weren't seeing a whole lot of like newly diagnosed breast cancer in 30-year-olds or colon cancer in late 30s. We weren't really seeing that. But now I think, we've seen it on TV, we've seen famous people, and then many of us know someone who shockingly, we're like, they have cancer, but they're so young. We used to think of cancer as something you get when you're really old, not when you're young, not when we're the same age. And so I think we have to ask the question, why? What's different about our world now, a world where we have more medical advances? What's different about our world now than it was 20 years ago? And I think that's a complex question. And I think there's many variables that factor into what's different about our world today than what it was 20, right? There's chemicals that we put in our body. There's environmental things. There's lifestyle things. We're detecting things earlier, but our nutrition is different. What's being put in our food today is different. If you look at a jar of Jif peanut butter ingredients today, and you look at a label from 10 or 15 years ago, it's different. So we're going to talk today about ultra processed food. And we're going to talk about sometimes the 45% increase that we see in cancer risk directly as a result of consuming processed food. So I think we first have to talk about what is processed food, because there's a range, right? There's a range. So let me give you a couple of things that I hope make it simple and easy for you to understand, because I want you to know what you're consuming. Is it processed or unprocessed? If I look at an apple, right, just a plain apple, that is completely unprocessed, right? You look at it, it's just as it is in its natural state, grown from the ground. The ingredients are simple. It's an apple. Easy, right? Now, what if I wanted to jar some apples to preserve them? And so I take some water, I take some salt, and I put them in a jar. I slice them up, and I put it in a jar, and I can them. Okay, I've done that in my kitchen, but now I've increased the shelf life of that apple. So that is processed, very minimally processed, because I was able to do it actually in my home kitchen at home. Now, what if I made an apple pie fruit bar? An apple pie fruit bar. And some of the ingredients are high fructose corn syrup, soy lecithin, red dye, potassium sorbate, You would not be able to make that in your kitchen at home. Even if I gave you all the ingredients, first of all, you wouldn't have all those ingredients in your pantry. But say you did have all those ingredients in your pantry, there's no way you would be able to make that in your home, because you almost need equipment. You know, it's so processed that it can't be made in a home kitchen. Another thing, I like to keep things simple. So, you know, I say things like eat Jesus food. Like, what are things that Jesus made? Jesus made fruit, he made vegetables, he made beans, he made things that we can, fish, chickens, right? He made those things. He didn't make things like Twinkies. He didn't make things like mayonnaise. He didn't, you know, those are highly processed man-made foods. The grandmother test. This is something, I forget who I heard say this, but if your grandmother, maybe now our grandmothers are young, so maybe our great grandmother, if you gave her something, would she know what it is? Right? So I think about some of these protein bars. If I gave her something, she wouldn't know what that is. She wouldn't know what it is. Highly processed. So, rule of thumb, if you're looking at an ingredient label and it contains words that you don't know what they mean, if it contains words that sounds like it's a science experiment, it's highly processed. Things like emulsifiers, thickeners. It says words like natural flavors. If it's something that can stay on the shelf for 2 years, 3 years, that's not normal, right? Like if I put an apple on my shelf for 3 years, it would no longer be an apple, right? It would look like something completely different. And so those are processed foods. Processed foods are designed, ultra processed foods are designed to be hyper palatable, meaning they're designed to taste really, really good, which is why you can't just eat one Cheeto. Can you eat one Cheeto? I can't eat one Cheeto. What is that? Like, don't give me any if I can only have one. That's because these foods are designed to taste so good. They're designed to signal processes in your brain to make you want and to desire more of them, which is why you can eat so much of them. All right. So I hope you understand what the difference is between something that's also ultra processed and something that's not. Because ultra processed are the things that I want us to be very keenly aware of and try to avoid when we can. So now I want to go ahead and talk about these kind of 3 studies that I alluded to in the beginning that were done between 2025, early 2026. Some just reaffirming things that we already knew, some being very specific. And I just want to read you some of this information so that you can have the data. Okay, so first study from Harvard, MGB breakthrough. This was from November 2025, and I'm going to have all the resources in the caption so that you can further read. They tracked women, 30,000 women, and found that those eating the most ultra-processed food, which is about 10 servings a day, that's a lot, 10 servings a day, had a 45% higher risk of developing precancerous colon polyps before the age 50. So that is kind of giving us cues that's kind of giving us some insight of why we're seeing colon cancer earlier and earlier, why we're screening now people earlier than 50, right? We used to screen people beginning at 50, now we screen people beginning at 45. Sometimes people are getting screened earlier, depending on their family's medical history. So 10 servings a day had a 45% higher risk of developing precancerous colon polyps. The next study, the Lancet Tobacco Style Warning, this is also from November 2025. It published a landmark series calling ultra-processed foods to be regulated like cigarettes. And that's because they found consistent links to 12 different health conditions, including breast and pancreatic cancers. They highlighted neoformed contaminants, so these nasty chemicals that are made by high heat industrial processing that literally do not exist in nature. They are not naturally occurring. These are something that are basically made in a lab. And they are linked to 12 different health conditions. Very dangerous, very, very dangerous. Then the latest one from January 2026, the additive alert. And this was a new study in the BMJ, and it looked at specific preservatives. It found that sodium nitrite, that's going to be found in a lot of our deli meats. They called out ham. It's found in lots of different deli meats. It's found in bacon. It's found in some hot dogs. It was linked to a 32% higher risk of prostate cancer. Potassium sorbate, which is a common mold inhibitor and is usually used in things like breads and cheeses, it was linked to a 26% jump in breast cancer risk. So I say these to say that we're seeing real numbers, and it's kind of, we think about cigarette smoking. People used to widely smoke cigarettes. There was no thought that it was harmful to health. Doctors would be smoking in the patient rooms. We'd be smoking in airplanes. Like widely use of cigarette smoking, and then there was data that had to come out and show the harm that is caused by cigarette smoking. And so this is now what we're seeing. We've seen in the past, and now we've got more concrete data that's showing all of the harmful effects that are coming from regular consumption of ultra processed food. So I don't want to just leave you there. I don't want you to be now, okay, doc, you basically told me that I can't eat my deli meat. I can't eat my bacon, my sausage, my hot dogs. I can't eat the breakfast meat that I grew up eating. You're telling me I can't eat it. I can't eat the deli sandwich that I eat every day for lunch that I pack in my kid's lunchbox. You're telling me that I can't eat that anymore. I want to give you 3 small swaps, okay? 3 small things, and I don't want you to be overwhelmed. I want you to think, what small things can I do right now to help move me and my family in the direction of better health? So the first thing is a 5 ingredient list. Start being mindful of what's on your labels. I know when I go grocery shopping, I grab kind of the same thing. It's like I grocery shop, I get the same thing. I've got the same thing that I need from my produce, from my fruits and vegetables, from the dairy section. Let's just start being mindful of the ingredients. Just start being mindful. Turn it over and look at the back. If it has more than 5 things, I want you to put it away. And I want you to look and see if there's an alternative thing for the thing that you want, that you're trying to get, that has less than 5 ingredients. If it has words that you don't understand, again, if it looks like something from a science experiment, and I'm a chemistry major, but I still look at things, I don't even know what this is. If it has words that you can't pronounce, just put it away. And let's look for an alternative. Let's look for an alternative that doesn't. And there's some brands that are doing a really good job of minimizing all the ingredients and minimizing these complex preservatives and all these things. It's like you pay more for the things that are simpler, but it's because they're better for you. Next is the 10% swap. The data shows that if we just replace 10% of our ultra processed foods with whole foods, this can significantly drop your cancer biomarkers. So 10%, if we can just work on 10%, we're going to significantly improve our biomarkers. So what does that look like? My kid, I don't know about your kid, my kid loves to have after school snacks. When we pick them up, we've got about a 20 to 30 minute drive home. We get home, we get settled, and then I cook. So it's probably sometimes in 90 minutes, 2 hours between the time he gets home from between school and dinner. And sometimes it's really hard for him to wait. And if I haven't been home, if I've been working all day, sometimes it can just take a while to get dinner started if I haven't prepped. So I try to make him a little snack pack that he can kind of have to eat in the car and kind of nibble on. And so for me, what I've said is it has 3 sections in this little snack pack. I say to myself, only one thing can come out of a package. Only one thing can come out of a package. So what that usually looks like for us, he's got fruit, he's got maybe some cheese, and then he's got one thing that came out of a pack, maybe some goldfish. Maybe it's one of his oatmeal raisin cookies that he loves so much from Whole Foods. Maybe, what else does he like? Yogi Bites. So I try to be mindful. Like, it's hard, right? You want to grab something quick. Your kid likes these things, or they're used to seeing them. And so how can we make sure that they get some of the things that they enjoy, but we're being mindful, right? So just that, instead of the whole thing being maybe chips and Yogi Bites and fruit snacks, which are all ultra processed, how can I just reduce that? How can I reduce that? So the 10% swap, try to just replace 10% of your ultra processed food with whole foods. The last tip that I want to share with you is prioritizing the wet foods. If you think about ultra processed foods, they usually are like dry, shelf-stable things, like the crackers, the cookies, the chips, the bars. What if we can move towards more wet foods, the fruits, the veggies, the nuts, the beans, the grains, things that you cook in water. And when we cook them in water, we're eliminating 90% of these industrial chemicals. I want you guys to remember that the food industry is a business. They're not necessarily looking out for your best interests. They're looking out for their business. And so it's unfortunate sometimes that we do things not because we want to cause harm or not because we don't care, but unfortunately we have to be very proactive when it comes to the foods that we're consuming in our health, because nobody else is going to do that for us. So again, like, sometimes it's easiest just to keep it simple. Keep it simple. What are some simple foods that I can eat? I can look at it, I can know what it is, and it's not complicated. It doesn't have any words that I don't understand what they mean. How can I just keep it simple for me and my family? I hope that this helps you guys. I hope you weren't overwhelmed. I hope you're not mad at me that I talked about some of your favorite foods. I know I'm going to get some messages about the bacon and about deli meats and the pepperoni. I know I'm going to hear about it. But listen, I just want you to know, because when we consume food, it doesn't matter what it is, but know that it's going to go into one or two categories. There are no neutral foods. There's foods and things that we consume that are going to promote health and promote well-being. And there's foods and things that we're going to eat that are going to promote sickness and promote disease. And so we have to be mindful when we're consuming food, which category does it fall in? And I'm not saying that we can never, under any circumstances, eat anything processed. But what I'm saying is the overwhelming majority of the things that we consume on a regular basis, should promote health. I hope this was helpful. Be sure to like, be sure to share. There's someone that you know that needs to hear this information. I'll see you on the next episode. Live well now. Take care.